Hello everyone and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. Well, we are moving into the very last week of August, and I know I said this in the last video. I can't believe how quickly this month has gone. The kids here have one more week of freedom before they go back to school, and while we will miss them terribly, it does free up a little bit more of our time here. So in today's video, we're going to be doing part 2, which is the upper half of the bookcase that's going to go into the study. Now, as always, I put your cutting instructions into the description box below, but also, as always, keep in mind that this is a pretty large piece. It's quite tall compared to most dollhouses, and so you may have to make adjustments accordingly based on the size that you have. That's if, of course, you're going to be building the case. So I invite you to come along and let's get started. I brought back the plan so you can see what I'm doing. So in part 1, we did this lower section, and today we're going to tackle the upper section. So my plan is to have 2 bookshelves, one on either side, and it's only going to go the height of this line here. In the center, I'm going to have a feature wall where I can actually hang some art. Now it's my plan eventually to put some lights in up here to shine down on whatever I hang in that centerpiece. And then this whole top section up here is going to basically be trim. I want this bookshelf to go all the way to the ceiling, but that section up there would be far too high to actually put anything up there. I'm starting with piece A, which is the back piece. And you can see where I've made some measurements here. So I'll share those measurements with you first. So first in metric, you'll want to make a mark at 4 inches and then another at 7 9/16 of an inch. In metric, that's going to be 101.5 millimeters and 192 millimeters. You'll make those same measurements across the top and join those 2 lines together. Then along the sides, starting from the top, we're going to make a mark at 1 3/4 of an inch, 3 1/32 of an inch, 4 1/32 of an inch, 5 3/32 of an inch. In metric, that will be 44 millimeters, 77 millimeters, 102 millimeters, and 129 millimeters. I made those same measurements on the other side and then went ahead and drew my lines across. Now this top line I drew all the way across, but for the 3 lines down at the bottom, you don't need to go over this center section. These lines are for your shelves, which are only going to be on the 2 outside sections. For your pieces marked B, now these are your 2 outside edges. The measurements on those 2 pieces are exactly the same as the short side of piece A. You'll also have 2 pieces marked C, so these are your inside edges, and they again will have the exact same measurements as the short side of piece A. To put this section together, we're going to start from the outside and work our way in. So we're going to start by gluing pieces marked B on top of piece marked A. So I'm going to start by adding some glue on the one long side. Of course, I'm paying attention to which is the top and which is the bottom so that the lines match up when I'm done. I'm also making sure that the end piece is flush on the side as well as the top and bottom. Then I'm going to add the second piece marked B onto the other side. Again, making sure that I've got it going the right direction so the lines match, and also keeping those lines facing towards the inside. Now I'm going to add my shelf pieces. So you should have 8 pieces marked D. That's 4 shelves for each side. We need to put glue on one short and one long side of each shelf. And then we're just going to glue them in here where we've drawn our lines. Now that the shelves are in place, we're going to add our pieces marked C. So these are the vertical inside dividers. Next to go in are the pieces marked F. So these are your upper left and right panel pieces. And these pieces are going to sit inside of your piece B and C and just above the shelf on the very top. So we're going to put glue on 3 sides and slide that piece into place. And then of course we'll do the same thing on the other side. Moving into the center section, I'm going to take my piece marked G and I'm going to place it just like I did the shelves on the 2 outside sections. Before I do that though, I need to first drill the 2 holes that I'll need to install the lights. I measured in approximately 1 1/4 inches from each end, and I'm about 3/8 of an inch from the back of that shelf. I started by creating a pilot hole using my smallest drill bit. Then I slowly increased the size of the bit until I had the hole the size that I wanted. Then adding glue to the 2 short sides and the 1 long side that's closest to the holes that I've drilled, I then installed the shelf. Once that shelf is in place, we can go ahead and add piece H. So this is your upper center panel, and once again it's going to sit inside of your pieces marked C and on top of the shelf that you just installed. The next pieces are trim. So you should have 4 pieces marked E, and they're going to simply cover up the sides of the shelves. Now these trim pieces are obviously wider than pieces B and C, so there is going to be some overhang. And we want to make sure that the overhang is towards the shelves themselves. So when I lay these down, I want to make sure that the right side of that piece of trim is flush with the inside or center panel. And then on the opposite side, we're going to make sure that the left side of that piece of trim is flush with the side of the cabinet. So again, your overhang is going to be inwards towards where the shelves are. For the center panel, I want to build like a feature wall in here. So rather than trying to build it right directly onto the base or onto the back, I've just cut another piece that fits in that area. So this will be piece marked I on your cutting instructions. So in order to keep my line straight, I've divided it into 4 equal sections, and then I've drawn a 45-degree angle from corner to corner. And what I'm going to do is build a herringbone pattern using these coffee stir sticks. So these stir sticks are about 1 millimeter in thickness, and they're 4 millimeters across. And so just using that 45-degree line that I've drawn, I'm just going to start laying them in nice and snug up against each other and trying to keep the corner of those little pieces on the line that I've drawn. I'm not worried about the overhang on this first row because I can go in and trim all of that off later. Once you have that first outside row glued down, you'll have to start measuring how long you cut those pieces. I used 31 millimeters and it worked out actually quite well. I'll finish the last 2 rows and then I can trim off all of the excess wood. It's still a little bit rough at this point. You can probably see where there's a few little gaps in here. A lot of that is because the stir sticks weren't all exactly the same size. But I'm not too worried about that. I can just use some drywall compound and fill in some of those areas, and you won't even see them when I'm done. First though, I want to do a dry fit and make sure that it still fits. That way if I have to trim a little bit off, then I can do that before I start all of that finishing. And I can see already that it is just a little bit too big, and so I'll have to go in and trim just a little bit more off of the back. So I've trimmed just a tiny bit off of the side, and now it fits in there the way it's supposed to. I've given the panel a good sand, and now I'm just going to use my spackling to go in and fill in some of those gaps. I know most people use a spatula to do this, but honestly, I find it just as easy to use my finger. I let that spackling dry for about an hour, and then I went back in and gave it another good sand so that I could bring the pattern back up. And now I'm going to take a little bit of burnt umber paint, I'm going to mix it with some water, and I'm going to use that as a stain. Now this stain is pretty watered down, and I don't want this piece to warp, so I'm just putting on a little bit at a time, and then I'm going in with a piece of paper towel and wiping off the excess. I put that aside to dry for a bit, and I'm going to work on some more of the trim. Now I want the trim on the upper half of this cabinet to match what I did on the bottom half. I'm going to be adding the same type of framed in rectangles that I added to the cupboard doors. For the two end pieces above the shelves, you'll need two pieces marked J. And I'm going to frame them using this 3/32 of an inch square wood dowel. I started by cutting a mitered corner on one end, and then just using the actual piece J itself, I'm going to measure out where I need to make my next cut. Now I'm using my chomper tool to cut those mitered corners because this tool does have a guide that allows me to set a 45-degree angle. Now I can carry around the perimeter of both of those pieces, as well as piece marked K, which will go on the center panel. And here's what it should look like when it's done. Once all three of those pieces are framed, then I can go ahead and attach them to the front of the cabinet. I have just a couple more pieces of trim to go. So for this, you'll need your two pieces marked M for the two outsides, and then the one piece marked N for the center. You can see here where I've drawn a shape out of this piece of trim. I don't want it to just be one straight piece of wood across. I want it to look a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to cut out a small piece of this trim. And I always start by cutting the pieces that go against the grain first. What you probably will find is if you try and go with the grain first, you're more apt to either split the wood or have it split all the way through to the end. And we don't want that to be the case for this particular shape, so I'm cutting those diagonal pieces first. I'm going to sand this piece to get rid of any sharp or jagged edges. You want to cut out both of your pieces marked M in the same way. When you glue this piece in, you're going to glue it right on top of that top shelf so that you don't actually see the shelf anymore at all. And then I'm just going to repeat that onto the other side. Then you can add your centerpiece marked N. I still have to glue my feature wall into this center panel, and I do have one more piece of trim that I want to put across the top, but before I can do either of those two things, I need to paint what I have so far. So I painted this top section to match the bottom one, of course. The green is called Mossy Meadow, and it's from Folk Art. And then the brown trim is Burnt Umber by Americana. And now that it's all painted, I can glue in my feature wall. In order to ensure that this center panel dries nice and flat, I'm going to add as much weight in here as I can. For my final touches, I've cut some more of that Dollouse baseboard that I used on the lower piece. I'm going to paint it brown and attach it along the top. I'm also going to add a little bit of casing in around that feature wall just to finish off those outside edges. I'm using the same 3/32 of an inch wood square dowel that I used up top to frame those rectangle pieces. All I have left to do now is just to add one coat of podge over top just to protect the paint, and we can call this piece of furniture done. All done. Let's put it in place and see how it looks. Well, I'm very happy with how it turned out, and I can't wait to fill those shelves with books and knickknacks, and of course a nice piece of art in the center. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you like this tutorial, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.